Another lower weight class fight, title fight that's flying under the radar that's happening tomorrow in Japan. Tomorrow, our time. It's happening about 7 a.m. Wednesday, Central Time, here in America. And still does not have an American broadcast team on it, which is frustrating. Just frustrating that nobody in America, no network in America has picked this fight up. And it's a testament to how little boxing fans in America follow the lower weight classes, unfortunately. Is Kazuto Ioka versus Donnie Nietes. And if the lower weight classes were followed the way they should be in boxing, these are two guys who would be considered top fighters of our era. Ioka, a guy in a deep, I would argue the strongest division in boxing, 115, is number 2 in the ring rankings behind Gallo Estrada, in front of Chocolatito and Bam Rodriguez. That's how good this guy is. And when we talk about Nietes, we're talking about a guy who hasn't lost in 18 years. Lost one fight early in his career, 6 draws, but just criminally underrated, these two guys. Criminally underrated. Great fighters, fought a great fight. What was that, 2018 or 2019? I believe 2018. And they were on different trajectories back then. And I think that's why we're going to have a different result this time. Ioka's a guy who's been more active than Nietes. He's closer to his prime than Nietes. Nietes is a guy 40 years old at this point, and he hasn't been very active. Since the Ioka fight, he's only in late 2018, he's only fought twice. Only fought twice, both in 2021. He took like almost a 3-year layoff after the Ioka fight. Then Ioka came behind him and picked up that vacant strap that Nietes won against him. And that was a close fight. Could have went either way, and a great fight. And I expect to see more of the same, to be honest. Even though Nietes is 40 years old and hasn't been very active, I still expect him to be competitive in this fight. If you look at that fight, the scorecards were all over the place. Bad judging in that fight, 116, 112 both ways. And then one judge, I believe, had, I think, 10 rounds for Nietes, and I just don't understand that. I don't get it. It was a close, competitive fight. Could have balanced either way. If you had Ioka winning, if you had Nietes winning, Nietes ended up getting the decision. Good for him. But Ioka, I feel, has been on more of... he's been more active. He's been more focused since that fight, and Nietes not as much. But if you look at the numbers, Ioka's won 5 straight fights since that loss, since 2018. He's 28-2, 15 knockouts. He arguably hasn't lost a fight since 2014 if you had him winning that fight. And with Nietes, he hasn't lost a fight in 18 years. So... great fighter there, 40 years old, only 2 fights since the Ioka win, which I think that's going to be the big trend. More on that in a minute. He's coming off of a draw, and both of these guys have competed in 4 different weight classes. And I always break this down to people who don't follow the lower weight classes, because they're always like, oh, there's only 3-4 pounds in between. But when you're talking about, as the lower you get in weight, there's more of a difference between each pound percentage wise. So what I'm saying is the difference between 105 and 108 is the same difference between 140 and 147. So people look at these guys and they say, oh, there's not much. Look, 105 and 115, there's 4 weight classes down there. So it's only 10 pounds, but you're still talking about 4 weight classes that these guys have competed in their career. And when we talk about Ioka in particular, he's won legit championships in all 4 of these weight classes. Nietes has won championships in 4 weight classes as well. So they've been competitive at 105, 108, 112, and now 115. These guys are legit great fighters of our era, and they deserve more praise. They deserve more flowers. They should be in discussions for Hall of Fame. And unfortunately, we have such a low IQ when it comes to even hardcore boxing fans, when it comes to the lower weight classes, that when Hall of Fame discussions are brought up, these guys' names aren't mentioned. They're mentioning guys like Sean Porter, Mikey Garcia as Hall of Famers. Ioka Nietes have a better claim at Hall of Fame than those guys. But it's the name brand, right? And it's because those guys are competing in upper weight classes. These guys are competing in lower weight classes, unfortunately. That's the only difference. So, and the big difference is America versus Asia. Asian fighters also are not given the credit they deserve, much like American fighters are, unfortunately. So, but I like, as far as my preview prediction, I like Ioka to win in the same style fight as before. In other words, stylistically, I think this is going to play out much like the first one did. A lot of trading, a lot of body punching, you're going to see some great combination punching in this fight. You're going to see arms being free, not much clinching, high output, and high technique, high speed chess. But a lot of trading, I'm going to throw off of your combinations, then you're going to throw off of my combinations. It's going to be a beautiful dance back and forth. But ultimately, I just think that Ioka is in his prime or closer to his prime than Nietes is. And I think that's going to be the big difference. Sometimes it's as simple as that. Sometimes you don't have to go deep into the technique, deep into the styles. Sometimes it's as simple as these two guys are made for each other. They're going to be in competitive fights all the time, no matter what. But this guy is just closer to his prime than the other guy. And that's why I got Ioka in this fight by decision. Peace.